We all know the Targaryens are known for two things: taming dragons and incestuous marriages. This royal house was very stingy when it came to handing out family members with the blood of the dragon to other noble houses. Incest kept the superpower to them, as well as prevent their magical blood from diluting. Their sorcerer ancestors in Valyria performed some unknown fire and blood magic to bond dragons to them. House Aegon got their hands on a Targaryen princess for one of their lords to marry. That relationship produced Aemond, half Targaryen, half Aegon. The old King Jaehaerys and his wife, the good Queen Alicent, made sure Aemma wasn't going to be betrothed to anyone outside of House Targaryen. Queen Alicent handled these sort of matches throughout her long life, helping rule the realm. Landing a betrothal with a Targaryen is like winning the lottery in this world. The only other family trusted enough for marriages outside of the Targaryens was House of Velaryon, their closest allies who also migrated from Valyria. Being born in the Vale, Aemma wasn't given a dragon egg in her cradle. Even when she was shipped back to King's Landing to be set up with her first cousin Viserys, she never had the opportunity to bond with a vacant dragon. This may have been a personal choice not to be a dragon rider, but likely it wasn't worth the risk, handing House Aegon a super weapon. They never had to worry about anything like that when it came to Viserys and Aemma's only child, Rhaenyra. Her allegiance was solely Targaryen, with her father being in the line of succession. No problem giving this newborn a dragon egg, becoming a dragon rider at 7 years old, the youngest or one of the youngest to ever fly. In 105 AC, King Viserys names his now 8-year-old daughter heir after Aemon's death, preventing Damon from touching the crown he coveted so much. This didn't make the cut for House the Dragon, but Damon raised a small army of his own during that great council of 101 AC for his brother's cause. If things didn't go their way in the votes, well, not really for his brother's cause, because Viserys becoming king would make Damon the heir in most cases. The brothers had a turbulent relationship, thanks to Damon being half-mad. But Viserys always forgave him, no matter the magnitude of disrespect or insults hurled at him. Rhaenyra always came first though. It was the same situation when half-brother Aegon came along 10 years after Rhaenyra. All the great lords swore to honor and protect Rhaenyra's ascension to the Iron Throne when the time came. And Viserys made it known him having a son changed nothing. By 109 AC, Viserys had 2 sons through his new Queen Alicent Hightower. And the king and Alicent's father Otto Hightower tried his best to convince the king to reverse things and make him forget all about the female heir nonsense, and instead name his grandsons next in line for inheritance. Otto, persisting on this topic, got that pretty Hand of the King pin ripped off his coat. Alicent is a whole different kind of beast in the books compared to the more loving queen in House of the Dragon, having a similar amount of ambition as Cersei Lannister. Rhaenyra's marriage to Rhaenyra Velaryon was a rushed one. Rumors of Rhaenyra's after-school activities as a teenager were getting too loud to ignore. These rumors regarding her innocence could quickly turn to unrest. Every bachelor in the realm still wanted her hand, but so few were suitable for a future ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. Queen Alicent had her own candidate, her eldest son, Prince Aegon, Rhaenyra's half-brother. But Aegon was a boy, the princess 10 years his elder. Moreover, the half-siblings had never gotten on well. All the more reason to bind them together in marriage, the queen argued. Viserys did not agree. The boy is Alicent's own blood, he told his new hand, Lord Lionel Strong. She wants him on the throne. Aegon was 6 when Rhaenyra was forced to marry Rhaenyra Velaryon. Being of age in this world usually means 13 or 14. If King Viserys wasn't so irritated by the Hightower plots, waiting those 7 years for Aegon to be of age would have had its own challenges. Rhaenyra would be 23. She was reckless enough to get pregnant to whoever interested her at the time, whether it be Kristen Cole or Uncle Damon or even a captain of the City Watch. The kind of dangerous pregnancy you can't hide from the public. The Faith of the Seven would rile up the small folk and religious lords again to turn against House Targaryen. A deadly war the Dragon Riders just recently put down. But for the sake of fun, let's just say Viserys took the gamble and let his 2 kids marry each other, in case Rhaenyra would be rejected by the masses for being a female ruler. The year would be 123 AC, and years of sleeping with Sir Harwin Strong would likely still happen. Moon tea would be used to prevent any dangerous bastards. King Viserys died in 129 AC. Rhaenyra marrying Aegon likely wouldn't change that. Rhaenyra Velaryon would still be around, having no need to die or fake his death. But his sister, Rhaenyra Velaryon, would have been gone for a couple years due to her childbirth complications. In this scenario, Damon would still have 2 daughters, but no third wife for himself. His eyes would be on his other niece, Helaena Targaryen, daughter of Viserys and Alicent. In this timeline, it's likely Aemond would marry Helaena when they were of age.
She's our sister.
You marry her then.
I would perform my duty. If Mum had only betrothed us.
If only.
It would strengthen the family. Keep our Valyrian blood pure.
She's an idiot.
Aemond Strong wouldn't have much of a target on his back if no bastards were made with Rhaenyra, so I think it's safe to assume he would still be alive. Rhaenyra wouldn't be the only one sleeping around in this marriage. Aegon is one hell of a jerk-off character. His infidelity showcased in his loveless marriage with Sister Helaena was a special kind of evil. It was a well-kept secret while he was alive, but Aegon has been caught in the fighting pits that torture children and has been supposedly caught in bed with a child. The moment Viserys dies in this alternate timeline, things will take a turn for the worse. If Rhaenyra inherits the crown, but her half-brother Aegon is her husband, would he sit quietly while she sits on the Iron Throne? Aegon, yes, but his family, no. The Greens, and especially Damon, would see an opening to make a move. Aegon himself is devoid of ambition. He's all lust. In the books, he was perfectly fine with Rhaenyra succeeding Viserys. It was only until Sir Criston Cole manipulated him by saying Rhaenyra would want his whole family killed. In the 6 years from the would-be Rhaenyra-Aegon wedding, there definitely would be kids, just not legitimate. The parallels between this fake relationship and Robert and Cersei's would be so close thanks to all of them being so careless. Aegon in both timelines would have bastards, like Robert. Rhaenyra in both timelines would have bastards, like Cersei. Aemond Strong was Rhaenyra's sworn shield, the strongest knight of this era, constantly by her side. In this scenario, they would still have strong bastards. Very likely sons too. I like to think of the whole Harrenhal arson on the Strongs being orchestrated by Rhaenyra Strong. It would be unnecessary if Alicent got the betrothal she wanted in the books. Larys would remain an unpredictable threat in the shadows as Master of Whispers, while his father would continue on as Rhaenyra's Hand of the Queen. At some point, Harwin would have a spot on the Kingsguard, no doubt. Possibly Lord Commander. Lord Commander Harold Westerling had some great moments in the show, but he's almost non-existent in the books, so not much talk about him here. Rhaenyra's rule would be far from smooth, with the Greens and Damon clawing for more power. And she wouldn't have the Valyrian support unless she offers up some betrothals with her strong boys. Damon might not care for his daughters, but Grandpa Seasnake and Grandma Rhaenys Targaryen do. Their relationship with both the Blacks and Greens have been turbulent. Beneficial marriages for House Valyrian is the only way to buy their allegiance to Rhaenyra. With Otto not welcome at court, Alicent wouldn't have the same ground to stand on. Her words to grasp more power would fall on Aegon's deaf ears. Good news for Rhaenyra, who does care to be the one in power. There would be no Greens in small council meetings. It would be a peaceful realm ruled by Rhaenyra and Lord Lionel Strong, until Damon gets restless. And that wouldn't be long after Viserys' death.
Where is Aegon?
Aegon's habit of slipping out into the night would always give him an opening. Doubtless this couple would even sleep in the same bed. Eventually Damon would come across Aegon during these nights at Flea Bottom, thanks to his friend, a spy called the White Worm. Killing him would be easy for Damon. No one keeps track of the corpses in this rough part of town, and this fake world would be better without him. The Greens would pin this on Rhaenyra, a ladder built from chaos that Damon could climb. Alicent's words wouldn't work on Aegon in this alternate timeline, but it would on Aemond Two Eyes. Yup, there's no way that childhood fight would take place if Rhaenyra married Aegon, because Rhaenyra couldn't possibly have Lucerys or any children until she was 23, and Aemond would still have Vhagar. A civil war led by Aemond would be attempted, but quickly put down. Aegon was only able to be successfully coronated thanks to the Greens' element of surprise. That's lost with Rhaenyra on King's Landing and not on Dragonstone. Without the backing of the Lannisters or Baratheons, the Green support would be very limited and easily crushed by the Blacks. But still, very deadly thanks to the Greens' capable dragon riders, Aemond and little brother Daeron. The Black dragon riders would include Rhaenyra, Laenor, Rhaenys, and Baela. Damon would have taken up residence in Dragonstone, whether he was welcome to or not. We've seen him do this in the past without his brother's leave. He wouldn't second guess doing it again with his niece in charge. And with Dragonstone comes with all those vacant dragons, 5 ready to be tamed by a Targaryen. Dragonstone is infamous for having some bastards or descendants of bastards with the blood of the dragon. This is who Damon will recruit while Rhaenyra deals with the Greens in King's Landing and Old Town. But that recruiting process for Damon would take a very long time. Aemond and Daeron would only safely start a war with their dragons out of the dragon pit in King's Landing. Now the Blacks could take on Aemond atop of Vhagar in a fair 1v1 fight. And even grouping up against him would have some casualties for the Blacks. Damon's support would make the Blacks feel safe, since he's the most dangerous man alive on Caraxes. He'll use this leverage to try and marry Rhaenyra, but this would out Damon as the murderer of Aegon. To defend the Green's accusations, Rhaenyra would have no choice but to point her finger at crazy Uncle Damon. Her hold on the Iron Throne would be fragile, just for being the wrong gender. Seeing her try and claim the strong kids as legitimate heirs on top of possibly kinslaying Aegon would send a lot of pressure her way, destabilizing her reign. Damon is capable of a lot of terrible things. Killing Rhaenyra may be where he draws the line. She's different compared to Aegon, Aemond, Helaena, and Daeron. Even if it was manipulative, the rogue prince did have a bond with his brother and niece, and only disdain for Viserys' other children with Alicent. Even personally killing Lady Rhea Royce in the TV show adaptation left a bad taste in my mouth. He kept his distance from her, but that wouldn't go down in the source material. The Greens' only argument for Rhaenyra possibly having Aegon killed would be removing him from possibly joint rule. There never would have been a joint rule with their characteristics, but lords and small folk would view Aegon as a king. That's why Damon wants Rhaenyra's hand in marriage so badly. If Damon can't have Rhaenyra in this world where Harwin exists, he would run back to Dragonstone in a secluded island filled with dragons. He could watch tensions rise from close by, just across the waters. Before the Greens could possibly try to charge Rhaenyra with any crimes, they would have to get Aemond's Vhagar and Daeron's Terrasion out of the Dragon Pit. The Faith is the only one who could accuse a king or queen of anything. The Greens would just be screaming at the clouds without the High Septon's support, and the Hightowers are closely tied with the Faith and the lore. Their headquarters used to be in the Hightower City Old Town, before relocating when the Targaryens built the capital. The Greens won over King's Landing in the books and the show during that civil war, mainly because they were based here, while Rhaenyra lived in Dragonstone, the customary Targaryen seat of the heir to the Seven Kingdoms. Rhaenyra marrying Aegon would bring her more allies at court, including the Dragon Keepers, who care for the Targaryen's beasts in the Dragon Pit. The Blacks would fight them off before ever stepping foot in a trial. Shit hits the fan when Aemond kinda causes the death of Lucerys Velaryon. Over on this timeline, when men following the Faith and Alicent come for Rhaenyra, blood will be shed. And who will be in that room with Rhaenyra? Her sworn shield, Sir Harwin Strong. The only Kingsguard that would defy Rhaenyra with such a baseless arrest would be Criston Cole, high on some of that green, ever since things didn't work out with Rhaenyra. We can get the rematch between Harwin and Criston Cole that went down in that wedding tourney in the books. The fight that gave Harwin the nickname Breakbones, after Criston Cole left him in casts. Harwin is stronger, but Criston Cole was the most skilled fighter of this era. Harwin would lose again, and this time it would be his death. The other Kingsguard would be nearby and take care of all the Greens after hearing the commotion. Criston Cole's not surviving this night either, and Rhaenyra would come out victorious, grieving the father of her children, but still victorious. Aemond and Daeron, using their status of dragon riders, would try and raise an army in the Reach, but this is a war that's not making it very far. Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Laenor, and Baela would come for the Green Dragon Riders and would be overwhelmed. Damon is not one to play fair. So picking off the scraps of this would-be wild battle would likely lead to every dragon in Targaryen dying here. Damon's restlessness would get the better of him. He could wait to see if anyone can tame some of the vacant dragons on Dragonstone, but when has he ever been patient? Especially when a battle of this scale is calling. All the main Blacks and Greens would die in this scenario, leaving only Helaena, her child or children she would have with Aemond, and Rhaenyra's strong bastards. This opens a massive power vacuum. Even if Helaena was mentally stable enough to handle any sort of work, she would be passed on as a candidate for the next ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, due to her gender. The Sea Snake's word and decisions are highly respected. He's one of the most admired characters ever for all his accomplishments on his sailing voyages. As long as Rhaena is betrothed to a strong boy, Corlys will remain Team Black. A strong bastard would likely sit on the Iron Throne if Rhaenyra married Aegon. This child would have Lord Lionel Strong, his secret grandfather, to guide him as regent until he's of age to rule on his own. Most would know Rhaenyra let a bastard wear a crown, but close their eyes to it. Rhaenyra makes sure all her bastards are bonded with the dragon to quiet all who question their birth. Lionel and the small council would not let Aemond's children or child touch a dragon egg. He or she will always be the son of a traitor. This rightful heir wouldn't even have a place at court growing up near a strong boy king. Innocent Helaena would be spared to raise her dragonless Targaryen, but not Alicent. This level of treason is punishable by death. Her initial hopes of Aegon marrying Rhaenyra would not have a pleasant outcome, any way you look at it. Reckless brats that never got along well enough to pull off a political marriage. Put dangerous Damon in the mix, and a disaster is waiting to happen. Somehow, this could still be a brighter timeline than what we'll see in House of the Dragon. I'll be curious to know how you guys see a wedding between these two playing out. Do you think they would play nice long enough to just make one child to inherit the throne? Or are you as pessimistic as me in this alternate timeline? Thanks for watching this one, guys. A very fun one to make. I hope you enjoyed it too. I'll see y'all next week.